Hello and welcome to episode 69 of Pacific Horseplayers right here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I am your host for tonight, Noah Meagher, joined by Ryan Anderson, who has LeBron as his icon as of now. Great start to the show. And Jackson Muniz, recent KDBCC winner, to take you through 6 races on the 11-race card this Saturday at Santa Anita, which, if you don't know by now, is Big Cap Day. Looking forward to that day and races on Saturday. We're going to get into that shortly, but before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the notification bell and the like button. And scrolling on the bottom of the screen are our weekly shows, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, Thursday nights. Go ahead and hit that bell because that's a lot to keep up with. So go ahead and do yourself a favor, hit that notification bell, and you will know when everything is up and running. Of course, if you are on our audio platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor, you can listen to us through those. You can also go check out our power picks. We are 8 weeks into the year so far, and I believe the ROI is still over $2, so going very strong to start the year 2026. And you can find out more about us at our website, hhhracingpodcast.com. One more plug to throw in there. You can get past performances and clock reports for Gulfstream and Santa Anita. Of course, we'll be covering that tonight. Every racing day, go to drf.com for more info. And that's a perfect plug because we've got a gentleman that will be joining us in just a minute. Before we do that, let's check in with the regular gentleman. How are we doing, boys?
Doing fantastic. I don't think nearly as good as Jackson. February is over. It's March.
March.
Yeah, doing good. The second February ended, things went up for my betting and I won a big contest seat. I also went 3-0 last week with a side bet. So my reign of terror continues. We're now 23-1 in the history of PHP, and I feel pretty good about that too.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that Jackson cares more about some stupid side bet record than the $5,000 seat he was able to take home on Saturday. But hey,
I need the bragging rights. I need all the bragging rights.
Yeah. I guess I can't deny the fact that he's pretty much dominated in those, and I'm sure we will find one here in just a minute while we go through.
And the one that lost is actually entered on Saturday. We're not covering the race, but he is entered in the same day we're covering.
The Simple Song, right?
Yeah. See, even it's like your one win.
Yeah, I know. It's in the back of my head. It's like I got that stuff on rapid fire. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the races on Saturday. Before we do that, you guys know that we're approaching the NHC. It's around the corner, and I had the privilege of meeting this gentleman at last year's NHC. So let's go ahead and bring him on. He's been on the show a couple of times before. He's been on the airwaves a bunch. We just love what he does over at the Daily Racing Forum. It is Gino Buccola. Gino, what's going on, my man?
Fellas, and in that amount of time since I met you guys last year, I feel like you guys are growing up. I see you all over the place. Jackson winning big tournaments. I see Ryan showing up on FanDuel doing social media stuff. Noah's getting job offers all over the place, asking how much should he charge because there's like a bidding war for his services at all these different places. I absolutely love it. So the boys are all growing up. I'm happy to join you guys. Love talking racing with you guys in Howard anytime you need. And we have some fun races to talk about this weekend at Santa Anita.
Yeah, boys are buzzing. No doubt about that for sure. Let's get into the chat before, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up this comment from our good buddy Matt Miller. He said, Gino, you are the LeBron of the episode, which according to Ryan would be the GOAT as he throws that out. Please explain if you take that as a compliment or criticism. Since you and Howard were getting into it a couple weeks ago.
Well, I mean, if some of the only valid criticism of me is that like I'm the second best of all time, then I think I'm doing a pretty good job. So absolutely. No, I love talking sports. I love talking all basketball, but I do know as a fan of the teams that are like really popular and have won a lot. I'm a Lakers fan and a Dodgers fan being out here in LA. So you get more people that want to watch the Dodgers and Lakers lose, right? So when they don't do well and when they struggle, everybody else, the other 29 fan bases are happy because for a lot of years, LeBron or Dodgers or those teams were beating their teams, right? So they kind of built up a like frustration through that. So I totally understand it. I love rooting against some teams too. And right now, or the Lakers turned back a little bit this week, but after a 3-game losing streak, like when they lose, the noise is just a little bit louder. than when other teams lose, right? So that's what's kind of fun being a fan of a really popular team. But then on the flip side, like guys like Austin Reeves or like Kyle Kuzma, Alex Caruso, they have a good little run, and then all of a sudden everybody knows who they are, right? So you kind of have the positive of being on a team like the Lakers and kind of the negative, and you can go back and forth. So yeah, hopefully they can turn it around, and maybe we watch a basketball game next week when we're out at the NHC, guys, and we can have a drink.
Yeah, let's do it. I think we should put that on the itinerary for sure. I know it's going to be a busy couple of days out there, but while you're betting on ponies, might as well bet on some basketball games too. So,
and there's no need to sleep in Vegas. Sleep is for when you get home.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're on the West Coast, so it's not too early, right? You're not starting on like East Coast time, so you don't have to get up too early in the morning. So that's always nice for the night activity if you want to go out and have a few.
We've already got a bunch of comments in the chat, and I'll try to get to as many as possible. We actually do have 6 races that we're going to be talking about. Races are 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Race 4 begins our discussion. It's the first graded stakes on the card on Saturday. It's the B. Wayne Hughes Beholder Mile, presented by FanDuel. It's a grade 1 for the fillies and mares. Are going a mile on the main track, and just a field of 6 to kick things off here. But a very well-known favorite in your 2025 Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint winner, Splendora, for Baffert and Juan Hernandez at 4 to 5. Let's see if we are just chalking out with her or if we are taking a bit of a stand. And Ryan, I apologize. I'll have to throw that up there in a second. I'm going 4-5-1. Jackson is going 4-1-5. Gino is going 5-4-6. And Gino, I'm going to let you talk about a horse that I know you are pretty interested in the number 5, Bless the Broken, a new acquisition, for the Cox Barn and Qatar Racing, coming in from the fairgrounds.
Yep. No knocks on Splendora. Very much respect her. She's at the top of the filly and mare sprint division, but keep in mind, she will be trying to go a little bit farther. It's not like her races going longer are bad. She won the Tranquility Lake going a mile at Del Mar when she was going mile and 16th and a mile and 8. She was facing really nice horses when she was finishing behind them. So I'm not really concerned that she's going to have a problem getting the distance in here. What I do think is a bit interesting is like the way the race could shape up in this small field. There is a chance here that you have maybe 4 of these horses all kind of close to each other, all jockeying for position. I don't know if they're going to be lining up on the lead and having a speed duel, but just looking at the way the race shapes up, I think for Simply Joking has to be pretty close, wants to be pretty close for her best. Dazzling Move, I think her only chance in a race like this is if she's on the lead and clears, because I just don't think she's quality is as much as some of the others in here. So I feel like those horses want to really be forward. And then you've got both of the Baffert horses, where I don't think both of them are going to go, but one of the 2 of them is going to be more forward. And I don't think either one of them wants to come from way, way out of it. If that happens, and then all of a sudden you've got maybe 4 horses or maybe 3 of the 4 horses looking for position, kind of pushing each other a little bit more than they need to. The horse that I'm interested in is the 5, Bless the Broken. She just hasn't done a whole lot wrong throughout her career. She's kind of a new face here who I still think has some upside. She's only making her 2nd start now as a 4-year-old. So just look at her form. Last year, we didn't really know how good she was. She wins the Bourbonnette Oaks. Then she goes into the Kentucky Oaks. She's a long shot. She actually runs really well in the Kentucky Oaks. She finishes 3rd that day at 17-1. Following that, she's in the Acorn. It's on a sloppy track. I think we can just put a line right through it that day. She just didn't really get a chance. Then she's off from June of last year all the way to January of this year. In her return, it was a really nice effort. She sat a little bit closer because they were going slow. She put away that field like she should. And now she's got plenty of time to recover from that. And I think this race could set up very well. Like if you're trying to beat one of the, Splendora or a short price in here, I'm hoping that they are pushing each other a little bit, jockeying for position. I very much respect Splendora, but she's been doing a lot of her best work sprinting. So give me Bless the Broken, who I know has an affinity for distance, right? This is probably even a little shorter than what Bless the Broken wants, but from a setup standpoint, I think may offer us a little bit of value. So for me, Bless the Broken over Splendora, and then Nafisa, who I think from the outside can sit. I personally have been a big fan of Simply Joking. My major concern is she missed a month, right? Like if you look at her work tab, that's the reason why I didn't have her in the mix. And I was going to have her as my top pick in the Dwayne Lucas against Splendora going into that race, because she had a little bit of trouble in the La Brea. Doesn't really show too much, but she was sitting in a good spot. She kind of moved and she got stuck in a bad spot. And then Usha just kind of crushed that day. And Simply Joking was sneaky. She's had a little bit of like sneaky trips in two of her last 3 races, but I got to watch her after missing a month on the work tab and then only having one back before this race.
Yeah, that was a kind of a bummer that they didn't end up running there and had to vet scratch her, because I know she had a couple works before then, and then something must have happened because, like you said, they were off for at least a month, it looks like. But back to the horse that you like, I like her too. I mean, I was pretty encouraged by her comeback effort. I know she got a pretty cozy trip in there, and there wasn't really a straw on her path. I thought she did it well. She finished strong, and maybe that might indicate more that distance might be her friend. But like you said, I think after that race, she's already got a reputation where she's able to come from off of it. So it feels like she's definitely got some versatility in her back pocket. So I do like that pick. If I'm playing here, I'm probably playing a 4-5 exact. I do think she's got a big shot to round things out for second at least. Maybe not make things interesting on the win end. Ryan, you're also going with a bit of an upset, just in the different direction, with the number 1, Omen Joy, who I was worried she was going to beat me at the top of the stretch in the Raven run. She didn't quite get it done. This is her first test against older, but I mean, she was really good at the end of her 3-year-old year, no doubt about that.
Yeah, she was. And she didn't get the job done in the Raven run, but that was an oddly kind of run race with Kappa getting the job done there. And, it's not like she ran poorly and regressed. She improved those speed figures, which she had done in each of her last 5 starts leading up to that race. And now it's her first start as a 4-year-old. I've heard she's been training really well. And this has been the date kind of circled on the calendar for a while for Aggie Ordonez, who's obviously having a very sharp meet from limited starters. And, it's kind of one of those small barns where all of her horses get a lot of attention. And I think that goes a long way. And when her horses are running, they're always in pretty good form. So yeah, Gino and I saw this race kind of similar, where we thought there could be a few horses kind of jockeying for position. Almond Joy is going to be coming from off the pace no matter what. So is Bless the Broken, who I definitely respect a little bit in here. But I want to go with a Calbred upsetter in the Grade 1 Beholder.
Ryan, if you took out Splendora from a speed figure standpoint, Almond Joy is right there with the rest of the field too.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, and they're all really closely matched after Splendora. So it's kind of like 2 races, how you look at it. Like if you just think Splendora is so much better, if not, then you can look at the other horses and all say, okay, like any of those 4 or 5 can probably win with the right trip. Let's see if we can get some value.
That's right. And I'm curious who the second choice is in the betting here, because they're all going to be pretty close, I would have to imagine.
Probably pretty close. I would probably have to imagine. I think it'd be a toss-up from there. Jackson, you can finish off the conversation with the favorite Splendora. I know you're a guy who tends to beat some favorites, and you had some success on Saturday beating a short price Baffert over at Oaklawn and Hot Springs, Arkansas. But Jackson, just to me, it feels like she's probably just better than this group, and a big effort here leads me to believe that we can maybe see her on Derby Day.
Yeah, it just feels like for someone else to win, not only would she have to take a pretty big step back, but someone else would also have to jump up. I mean, no one's run more than a 90 in this field. Not a single horse has. I think Simply Joking ran a 90 once, and she has run nothing but mid-90s, upper 90 buyers in her last few races. And it's not like, I mean, her best race ever was going up 2 turns. So it's not like she can't run to the 2 turns either. It just feels like she's the horse to beat. And if you can somehow lock in 4 to 5, I think it's a pretty good price.
Yeah, she probably should be pretty tough, but I definitely admire the folks that would try to take her on, because you're definitely going to get paid if you are able to be right about that. We'll go ahead and move on to race 7, and let me get that switched over here. Skipping a couple races, including what looks to be like a pretty decent maiden special weight race in race 6. I know Crude Velocity was supposed to run a couple weeks ago, and he was 2-1 in that spot, and he's 10-1 on Saturday. So I think that just goes to show you how difficult that race could be. I'll get race 7 up on the screen. Here it is. It's a 6-furlong maiden special weight on the grass for straight 3-year-old fillies. Orderline favorite right down to the rail, and the number 1 Mo Sasha. McCarthy runner for Juan Hernandez at 2-1. Second choice in the number 9, a first-time starter for Jonathan Thomas, and Kazushi Kimura rides there at 9-2. Our picks are up on the screen. And I'm going 10, 8, 11. Jackson's going 10, 11, 1. Ryan's going 9, 8, 1. And Gino is going 8, 1, 10. Ryan, let's go to you. You're going with the aforementioned first-time starter from the Jonathan Thomas barn. What did you like about this runner, High Society U?
Yeah, I picked the 10 in fourth and used him on my best bets as a spoiler alert. I think 20-1, we might all be dreaming. I thought Jonathan Thomas, he always sends a strong string out here, and getting the debut going, the sprint speed. I like the last work that I was able to catch on XBTV, and just seems to be working and training really forwardly. Jockey booking of Kazushi Kimura makes me think that he's going to get some good position on this filly out of the gate. And I didn't notice a whole lot of speed in this race. And I think that just due to that, I think one that makes the rail horse Mo Sasha a bit of a vulnerable favorite in here off the debut. And I think that's kind of going to leave this race kind of up for the taking in terms of who wants to take the lead. And a guy like Kimura is always aggressive. And you guys, I think, probably shared some of that with going with the Misael Jaramillo, who's been nothing but aggressive out of the gate.
Yeah, I know from what I've seen in the mornings, High Society U worked with a Jonathan Thomas firster that's actually in the race before, who could be pretty good. I know I watched the work. I thought both of them looked pretty good.
Yeah,
this one
Gallatin, right?
Yeah, but he could be good too.
Yep.
She looks like she's a little more turf man. I pulled up the breeding on the bottom side with the Spikestown mare. I mean, she went long on the grass. I know this is only 6 furlongs, but it's just one of those races where most of the first time starters, they have some grass pedigree, but it's all long. So I don't really know what to expect from some of the firsters. I know Jackson and I actually have a firster at a pretty big price on top. But Gino, I want to go to you because you've also got a firster in the number 8 Somerset West, who I know has been working well for the Sadler barn. So worry you a little bit that Sadler's only 4 for 64 at the meet. I know he's got 14 seconds, but boy, it just seems like things aren't really going the right direction for him as of late.
Yeah, they've been very unlucky. I think when you look at the first-time starters, always been pretty kind of solid with first-time starters, like not incredible, but not bad by any means. When you look, I think the last 5 years was about 14%, 23 winners. And then when you go to the last 2 years, 11 for 56. So like 20%, super capable. Somerset West, you can catch 3 of these works on First TV. The January 19th work, which is a little ways back, but the reason why I watched it, because it was with Everything Good, who's the 7 horse right there next to him. And Somerset West was much better. Now that was at that point, like a month ago, almost 6 weeks ago now. Take that what you want, but I thought was way, way better at that point. And since then, Somerset West had 2 more works that you could see. February 1st, work from the gate was very good. February 15th, worked outside of a mate, going much, much best. All 3 of the works I saw for Somerset West were very good on First TV. And when you look at the pedigree wise, it's fine. The Dam was a 4-time winner on the turf from 6 furlongs to a mile, right about here with what we're doing. So like I'm kind of checked. I have like not like a little bit of a checklist with first time starters, right? That you're going through. Barn, if you can get the works and watch them, and what do they look like? Is the pedigree there? So you're kind of checking the box on like, okay, capable first time out. Works that I saw were good, pedigree there for turf, and this sort of relevant pedigree. So absolutely in the mix for me. And then, I mean, we were talking about the Lakers to start the show. How about Sasha Vujacic, one of my all-time favorite Lakers, Mo Sasha, who hit the big free throws in 2010 when the Lakers win it all up there. I actually have, no joke, in my drawer, a Sasha Vujacic t-shirt jersey that my mom had to get specially made for me because he was like one of my favorite Laker players. I always liked the scrappy 3-point shooters, because that's what I was. I was like, I'm that guy. I'm the scrappy 3-point shooter who goes in there. So Mo Sasha, I probably the one to beat, but I don't think this is a single situation. This is any cinch. Like, there are some fun first-time starters that we were talking about. I made the 10 Mad Dog, a horse that I could use underneath for, a nice pedigree. Damn, this horse was a 4-time winner on the grass. I thought the works that I saw for Mad Dog were very good. And another capable barn, Baltus, is like 10% ish when you look at the last 5 years with first time starters. So while I do respect Mo Sasha maybe a little more than Ryan, I thought the first time starters were some of the more intriguing and fun options in here. I'll start with the 8 Somerset West, and then the 10 Mad Dog will definitely be another one in the mix for me.
It just kind of seems like a race that I'm not I don't want to take a 2-1 shot. I don't know how you guys feel, but
I know we can't say it like this, Noah, but the way the rest of the sequence is too, right? Now we know Skippy Longstocking isn't going to be there. One of these races is probably going to be a heavy, heavy favorite. There's some shorter races. Like, this feels like one of the races where you almost feel forced to look for a little more value.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I know she got a 73 buyer, but I know all three guys on the screen, me included, respect time form a lot. That's not a very big time form for a 73 buyer. She only got an 86. The two who we don't even have in the mix here had been running 83s, and that was a little while ago. And she just ran a couple weeks ago. Not to mention she got a very, very good inside-outside trip. She didn't get stopped at all in that race. So there's just – I don't think the holes are huge, but the holes are big enough to where I'm not sure I want to take a small price on her. It looks like we all respect her. I mean, I don't have her in the mix, but Ryan's got her third. You got her second. Jackson's got her third. So she's one that obviously you would respect and fear in a race like this, but just not super willing to maybe put some money in her direction. Jackson, let's talk about this horse. I have no idea how you have this horse on top. Now that I hear Ryan's got this horse in fourth and Gino's got this horse in third, leads me to believe we're probably not getting 20-1. Am I crazy in saying that the fact that Jaramillo hops on here makes a difference?
It's certainly a good sign. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
She's got the pedigree. She's by Dog Tag, who ran not that long ago. She was a nice grade stakes filly out here in Southern California. Maybe this is just a prep for a 2-turn race. Won't surprise me at all. But I think she's working really well coming into here. You go back to January and see some of the horses she was paired up with. I mean, he's been pairing her up with some older allowance type horses and holding her own. And most specifically, the one that caught my eye was the one with Watchtower, who's a nice graded stakes filly going 2 turns. She was a target for Watchtower. Watchtower loomed up, made her move to go catch her. And then once they finally asked Mad Dog to go again, I mean, she kept up with her pretty nicely. I thought she showed a lot of ability. A lot of times when you see that, you'll see the horses just get blown by and they'll kind of just pull up. But that was not really the case with Mad Dog. She fought and kept going all the way up into the first turn. And then they finally paired her up recently with horses probably of her caliber, more unraced horses that made other maidens. And she broke really well out of the gate and put away the rival really easily. So I just feel like there's a lot to like based on what we've seen in the mornings. I don't know if I love the horses that have run to this point. And she's going to be the right kind of price in a race like this.
Yeah, I'm with you. Price is there. Jaramillo's there. Works in the morning are there. Breeding is certainly there. Price will be there. That's the last thing there, most important maybe. So I'm with you. I agree on all points. And another horse that you've actually got in the mix, I'll keep it with you, is the number 11, What a Star, who was another one I thought showed some promise in the mornings. I know some of her races overseas, granted they were a while ago, were just okay. You never really know how they're going to fare when they come over here from the east side of the pond to the west side. I know the time forms look light, but you just never know it. I kind of believe that Powell's a guy that maybe Powell typically leads you to believe that maybe they need one when they come over. But no doubt she's working up a storm in the mornings from what I've seen.
Yeah, I've actually had her on my list of waiting for her to run for about a month because she has been working in company with a horse that was entered a few weeks back. And I just was really impressed by how she worked against that rival. And she's done nothing to deter me since then. All her works are on video. The most recent one, the 27th, she was flying through the stretch all the way to the turn. I think she can really, really run. I think it's really interesting, too, that Mike Smith is riding this horse for Leonard Powell because they do not pair up together hardly ever. So I thought that was interesting as well.
Either first or last. We'll find out on Saturday. Ryan, you got any more?
Hopefully first.
Yeah. Ryan, any more thoughts from you? I know we haven't heard from you in a while, but any other thoughts on runners that we talked about or anyone that piqued your interest?
Nothing crazy, but I was up at Santa Anita on February 21st when I saw Datsumus Blame work, and I liked it visually, but I'm a homer. I work for Doug, so just if you're gonna go to me, I'm gonna mention the Doug O'Neill runner.
And we also a horse flesh expert, right? That's
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, just ask Jackson and I how our paddock appearance picks have been.
Fared well for Citizen Bull, am I right?
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
That went over my head. No clue what you were referencing there, Noah.
Wasn't it one of the days that you guys? I think it was the day that Gaming won.
We picked Citizen Bull.
I thought you guys picked Gaming, and then you saw Citizen Bull, and we're like, oh my god,
correct.
we get him.
Yeah, correct. because Citizen Bowl walked by, and then Jackson and I looked at each other and we're like, that horse can't lose. And then that horse lost. And then we fired right back with, we saw McCarthy smile about journalism in the paddock for Pacific Classic. We go, that horse can't lose. And that horse didn't win. So we're 0 for 2. Jackson and I, not horse flash experts in the paddock.
No. Hopefully we are not 0 for 2 to start the day on Saturday, because our third race is up. It's the Grade 2 San Felipe. I will actually get this one right this time. 50 points.
Felipe, you didn't get it right.
And Felipe? I didn't get it right?
Felipe.
Oh, I'm sorry. 50 Derby points. That was a trivia question a couple weeks ago. I didn't know the answer to that, but I got it right this time. Mile on the 16th on the main track, field of 7. And the morning line favorite, Del Mar Futurity winner. He was I believe he had the fastest buyer as a 2-year-old last year over the summer at Del Mar, and that is the number 4 in Brandt. Even money on the morning line. Baffert, one of 2 runners in here. He's also got Patente, the 5. Florent Giroux picks up the mount for this very expensive purchase. And let's see who we are going with in this year's San Felipe. I'm going 3-4-5. Jackson's going 6-2-4. Ryan's going 3-6-4. And Gino's going 3-4-5. So we're all trying to beat Brandt here. Jackson, I'm going to go with you because you are going with the second choice and the only other one that hasn't picked the 3 in here. So happy, Mike Smith, Mark Glatt, 2-1, a runner that really hasn't done anything wrong up to this point.
Yeah, and this is also a pick based on the fact that I just don't want to bet Brandt in here because Bob Baffert believes in speed more than any other trainer in North America. And the way they rode this horse in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile makes me think that they have serious distance concerns about this horse because he went to the front, but he was not ridden for speed. They tried to back down the pace as much as possible, and that was the way that horse was going to get beat, and he did get beat. They turned it into a sprint for home, going 3 furlongs, and that was playing Ted Noffey's game. He was never going to win that race the way he was ridden, and the fact that they had the chance to open up that field and try to bottom it out and chose not to do so tells me this horse doesn't want to go 2 turns. He also hasn't been seen since. It's been an interesting winter hearing about this horse. So I just feel like at a short price, you're supposed to try to beat him in this race. I went to So Happy, who also has distance questions to answer, but at least he has recent form. He's doing well. He ran well in that most recent race. That was a San Vicente, got the best of that field. And it did seem like he was doing his best running late, which I wanted to see because we saw Butane come back and he clearly did not get the 2 turns. Same with Acknowledge Me Please, clearly did not get better when he stretched out. So I'm glad that he at least was getting stronger as the race got longer. And he has the fastest numbers outside of the one race Brandt has run. So at double the price of Brandt, I wanted to go to So Happy in this spot.
Yeah, I don't really mind the pick. I mean, he's going to be at least second choice. Brandt's going to take that serious money. I have a question for all of you. Where is Pratt on Saturday?
He's riding Canatello or whatever his name is. In the
Canaletto?
What's his name?
Canaletto.
Canaletto.
So he'll have all the Browns.
Right once.
He'll be like in all the races, he'll be on the brown horses, probably like Destino Dior. I think is going to go over there and run, and all the undercards. He'll have that favored mount most likely.
Was it last year where they won like 5 of the 6 stakes races?
Yep. Yep, it was one of those. Yeah, you're like same thing. You're like, why wasn't he? Oh, okay, that's why. Yeah, yeah, that's why.
All you see is him in the winner's circle. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the reason I asked that is because does anybody see that as a significant red flag as big as I do? Because
for Brandt, yeah, I mean, just that. Like, if he thought that was his Derby horse, right, that would probably at least be a conversation.
I mean, he's been the talk of the town for a long time, and he doesn't bother to show up on Saturday.
I would also say, like, I know Pratt and Bob have a pretty good relationship. I think if it were to come down to it, and Pratt would get the call over Flo. Sure. If it came down to it, I think that they would. Because Pratt will be back for the Santa Anita Derby, so we'll find out then, I would imagine, if Brandt does well on Saturday.
Oh, that's a good point. Let's go to the horse that we actually like. Gino, I'll go to you first. Secured Freedom. I really liked him a lot last time. A little disappointed, but the trip really did him no favors. I thought he was running on late, and I know he's another one that maybe people have claimed that there are maybe some distance issues with him, but just the way he's run, the way he's built, his frame, I just want to give him one more shot going this 2-turn distance.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think everything you see about him in his races, in his workouts. He's just a horse who's not quite as precocious as some of the others have been, and he's figuring it out. Like, he's still a little green, like he runs in spots, but I like the more distance now for him, and I think this is a really good spot for him in here. So I think getting a little more distance to work with, I'd love for him to just kind of, like, that race last time out was tough because he's 4 wide going into the turn. He's last of 7. Then he's 4 deep, 3 deep, basically all the way around towards the back of the pack. Like, he was giving up a ton of ground in that race. And then he was really running on late after the top 2 separated. So I think if they're able to just take more of a hold with him, settle a little bit more, he can be inside here where he doesn't have to be quite as wide. There might be a thing about him not liking the kickback, right? That might be a thing. That's why they were keeping him out wide, but down on the inside, you're probably able to negotiate that a little bit too as well. So I just think it's going to be a much better spot for him. Secured Freedom, I like this trip for him better. You see the gallop out too. He was very strong there. So he's the one for me. And I think Noah must have been thinking about Felipe's dipped sandwiches over there instead of the San Felipe, which is very fine because you get that sandwich over there in downtown LA. It's one of the staples there as well. But I do think this is the type of opportunity to maybe play against Brant if you want. I have no problem with So Happy either. I think Patente is a little interesting. I kind of liked him in his debut. I will say the horse who I want to just watch, like, I don't know if I can use him in some way is the Calbred Start the Ride for Dan Blacker, because this horse does have some serious talent. And he debuted in a race where he was a non-starter, and you're watching the replay and he's just never on the screen, right? But then all of a sudden he flashes in late in a race that he just could have gotten pulled up and had really no business to run. But what was nice is that got him a super fitness building mile workout, like, right, for him. And then he comes back as still a first-time starter in the Cal Cup Derby. He sits a little closer, but he's down on the inside. He's in a little bit of traffic. He has to maneuver around. It's not like an easy win for him. He showed that he has some talent. And then that race is probably a little bit better than the speed figure suggests, because Pavlovian, who was in there, went right over and beat Open Company in the Sunland Derby. So if you look at the buyer and you're like, maybe that's a little light, keep in mind that the next race Pavlovian ran, he earned an 87 buyer. All of a sudden, if you're looking at Start the Ride where his buyer's more in the 80s, like, then maybe you're warming up to him. And I think the only reason why the 1 is in this race is at least to make sure this horse gets a little pace to run at, right? And to make sure that, like, one of these other horses just doesn't go get loose, because otherwise the 1 has no business really being in this race other than to help set it up for his buddy here.
Absolutely. I know, Ryan, you've hinted some stuff to Jackson and I about the connections, thinking pretty highly of Pavlovian after he was able to go over to Sunland and get that job done. But I'll go to you, because was there anything that we missed with Secured Freedom? Because I know you've got him on top as well.
Yeah, look, it's now or never. And I think that we all kind of saw this race similarly, where you absolutely should play against Brant in this spot, because I think there's enough, maybe not red flags, but certainly yellow flags to play against this horse. And Secured Freedom is one that I think, is still figuring things out. And then, Jackson, I'm sure you have something to say on the 2 Start the Ride, because he beat, your eventual Louisiana Derby winner, Pavlovian. So there's that.
No, I can't play him in here just because he's too slow, but I'm just so interested in how he's going to run in this spot, just because I'm surprised they ran him in the Cal Cup Derby off of that not declared non-starter effort. That tells me they think really, really highly of this horse. He closed into a slow pace. They're bothering entering a rabbit seemingly into this race to ensure they get pace up front. He's got to improve a lot, but I'm just really curious to see how he runs.
Yeah, I didn't know what to make of the run, because although Pavlovian could be pretty good, he was running by Sammy Davis late, and not only does Sammy Davis not want to go anywhere close to 8.5 furlongs, he was really shortening up in that race, by the way. I give all credit to Start the Ride, because he was really getting going at the same time that the leader was shortening up. But at the same time, I just think he's really got to step up his game. And maybe he just is that good, and maybe he's really heading in the right direction for sure. I know, Gino, you had hinted at Patente, maybe the last one that we'll touch on. I know Jackson doesn't have him in the top 3 out of spite because he was very upset by the ride that Kyle Frey was given on Captain Shreve that day.
Atrocious.
I was also upset by it.
Gino, I guess this is probably the Baffert that goes, right?
I think he's going to go, and I think this is going to be the part where they try to get Brandt to sit off a little bit, which he did earlier in his career. Like, this is the type of race where if Brandt can't sit off a little bit in a field like this, then I don't really know how good he is, right? As like a horse for the Derby, because you're not going to get your own way up front every single time from here on out. So get the Baffert horse to be your target. He can go out front. Maybe you have you have one of the horses to the outside pushing the pace a little bit, the inside horse, and maybe Brandt can sit 3rd or 4th, right? This is where you try to do that, I feel like, in this particular spot. But I do think you have 2 or 3 alternatives that if you don't like Brandt, we mentioned Secured Freedom, So Happy is solid. And I think Howard was pointing out too, like, Secured Freedom is going to get bet for sure. Because you just look at the alternatives to Brandt, and there just look like there are 2 that if you want to bet this race and you want to bet a horse to win, it's going to be Secured Freedom or So Happy, right? It's one of those 2 horses, and those. So I agree. I think 4-1. If you get above that, that's probably pretty good value in a spot like this for Secured Freedom.
Absolutely. We've got 3 races to go, which funny enough actually starts the late pick $3 late pick 15% takeout out at Santa Anita, and a couple turf races that we'll get to. Turf discussion starts with the grade 2 now, Frank E. Kilroe Mile on the turf, $200,000 purse, and we can see the field here for the older boys. Morning line favorite in the number 3, El Potente, who ran absolutely massive just a few weeks ago. He's on the morning line at 5-2 for Dan Blacker and Hector Barrios, and the second choice just at his outside. The runner-up in that race, Gas Me Up, Peter Urton, Mirko DeMiro at 7-2, and I will put the picks up on the screen. I'm going 4-2-1. Jackson's going 1-3-4. Ryan's going 1-4-2, and Gino's going 1-4-3. So I'm actually the contrarian in this race. Gino, we will go back to you. Mi Hermano Ramon, he's been quite frustrating to say the least as of late. But there's no doubt he's been facing some really, really nice horses and looking for a big comeback effort to start his 6-year-old campaign.
Yeah, and I just think this race will set up really, really well for him from a pace standpoint, because what makes this race very intriguing, if it stays in as tacked, there are a couple horses that just have to go to the lead. Like, their best races are on the front end. So you look at, El Potente going a mile, he can maybe sit a little bit, just a little bit, but his best races are much, much more when he's on the lead or when he makes an early move to the front end and he tries to open up. Look at Cabo Spirit. I think of the 4 horses I'm going to mention, he actually might be the slowest early Cabo Spirit of these 4, but right next door to him is probably the fastest horse in the race, and that's Meagher. Mm-hmm. This horse has to go. Yeah. He is so quick. He flies and immediately opens up 2 lengths. And if that happens, that's going to put the other speed horses in a little bit of a tricky spot where they're all kind of in chase mode, like Final Boss. What's he going to do? He's got to go too, right? He hasn't run since September. So all of a sudden we've got a field of 8 with 4 pretty likely speed horses that at the very least want to get out of the gate and get really good position here. And I completely agree with Timeform US there. And I exactly how it has it. Like, I think of the 4 of them, Cabo Spirit will probably try to sit, and El Potente could probably try to sit. But I just don't think, like, Meagher and Final Boss, like, I don't know if they can win this race unless they're right on the lead. So for them, they're going. Now all of a sudden you've got a couple deep closers. You've got Gas Me Up, you've got Almendares, and then you've got Astronomer, who I think Astronomer and Mi Hermano Ramon are going to sit the same kind of trip. I think they can be in front of the deeper closers. Mi Hermano Ramon is going to save all the ground on the inside. He's going to be able to get the jump on Gas Me Up and on Almendares when they want to start rolling late. Mi Hermano Ramon he's been pretty much like the most solid too of these horses. Like, honest, even his bad trips, he's not beaten a whole lot. He's only beaten a length or 2 when he gets trouble. If you are watching some of the works in the morning on First TV, I know he's an older horse, and the horse I'm going to mention is a younger horse, but he is working with So Happy, who we were just talking about, and he was going way better And he just looks like he is ready to fire a big shot. So he's training well. I think he's going to get the trip. I like the horses he was facing last year. And I think he's going to be a fair price. I think that he'll be right in that above 7-2, 5-1 would be great. Like anything in that range. I think he will probably be the third choice though, because El Patente is going to get bet. I do think Gas Me Up will get bet. And then he's the third choice. And the others, Almendares could get a trip. I just don't really trust him all that much. He likes to run second and third. He doesn't really have any big wins. Mi Hermano Ramon does. That Shoemaker Mile was a wicked beat for him. He ran really, really well there. I think it's a good spot for him. Let's go, Ramon.
I've seen nothing but head nods from both Ryan and Jackson, so I'll throw it to them. You guys have anything to add? I'm actually going to step out a sec, but you guys talk.
All right. Well, while he steps away, the kids will play, I guess. But yeah, I'm with you. It finally feels like it's kind of his turn to get this,
yes,
kind of big victory on his resume. He's been knocking at the door so many times. You mentioned the Shoemaker Mile with that neck loss to King of Gosford. I mean, he's faced Johannes. He's faced what's the other Formidable Man. He's faced those kind of top West Coast horses that you'll always run into. It's just him left. He's kind of outlasted all of them, and he's in a race where I feel like we've talked about a few of these mile graded stakes races where we're like, where's the pace going to come from? He finally gets it. He's finally going to get a pace setup here. Even if it's just Mibago somehow on the front end, that horse is going to go 46 to the half. I mean, with a Misael aboard, forget about it. They're not going to go slower. They're not going to go slower than 46 and change to the half mile. So I think it's going to be Mi Hermano's race, and 5-1 would be an absolute gift. Even 7-2, I think, would be a fantastic price to get on him.
Yeah, his best effort is better than the best effort of anyone else in this field. I have no doubts about that. He's faced the best company.
Yep.
He is supposed to get a phenomenal setup in here. You're going to get a decent price today because he hasn't run in 9 months. And in the year 2026, layoffs like that just don't matter nearly as much as they once did. I think you're supposed to play this horse all day long.
Especially when it's a setup too, like we're talking about too. If that is the case, if that's how it goes, where he can save ground, he doesn't have to run hard the first 3/4 of the race, save ground inside a few lengths behind, and then boom, you run the last quarter of the race, you get the jump on some of the others, and he's going to be facing a couple horses too that don't love to win a whole lot. Astronomer, for the last 17, right? We're looking at horses that aren't necessarily win machines in here. Almendares is just one for the last 12. And there are two other horses that might get the trip along with them. So if we're getting these three horses that are going to be in the mix late, I'll take my chances with Ramon getting the better of those other horses who might get similar trips.
Hey, Ryan, how much money have you lost collectively on Astronomer the last couple of years?
I would have to call my bank and ask them, because thank God I'm divorced from that horse now. But hey, one day he's going to meet one of these mile fields with no pace, and he'll get to the front with somebody on board, and he'll go wire to wire. That's the next time he wins.
Him and Almendares both ran well in the Pegasus too. They did at big prices, but that race wasn't the strongest, right? It was competitive, but I think that's why test score jumped up and won, because there weren't really any monsters in that Pegasus.
There was supposed to be in program trading, who I think is still somewhere around the quarter pole with the
saving ground inside. Yeah.
I like Gas Me Up in this race. I feel like people are going to put a little too much stock into the Thunder Road last time, where El Patente just got everything his own way. I mean, once they hit the backside, the race was basically over at that point. And credit to El Patente for running well. I mean, he's definitely not going to get the setup like that he's going to get on Saturday. But it's just another one where it feels like off the last race, Gas Me Up might get a little lost in the shuffle. And talk about
how different on paper does this race look than that race?
Oh,
right?
It's night and day.
It's like and it doesn't always play out that way. But from just a on paper standpoint, it looks so much better for Gas Me Up than it did for El Patente, than it did in the race last time, where El Patente was just cruising.
Yeah, and the other thing I've got to say is just when he gets a setup like that, you can see in his PPs, he just thrives. When he gets hot paces to run at, he can really show off that late kick. Wasn't able to do that last time. And another one, I think, like you said, I think the one's probably going to take a little money, probably be 7-2-ish. El Patente, he had a big fig last time. Even though he doesn't get the setup, he's probably going to get a pretty good trip. So people will see that. So I think you're going to get a fair price on him. And I got no problem backing him again, just because I think the last race, people might look into that too much. So he's the direction I go. I hear you guys completely on El Patente. He's one I think
going to be higher than Meagher Hermano Ramon. He's going to be, yeah, I do. I mean, he was 13-1 2 back when he was supposed to get a great setup in the Hernandez, and he was 13-1 coming out of a 7th place finish in the Breeders' Cup. He just doesn't take the kind of money these other horses do.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I definitely hear you guys on Meagher Hermano Ramon. I mean, if Ryan's lost 4 figures on Astronomer, I've definitely lost.
It's not been that much.
But it's up there for me with Meagher Hermano Ramon. He's just one that's been super frustrating, and I've bet a couple times and hasn't gotten for it. I know somebody in the chat, it was actually Howard, who said he'd never been a fan of Almendares, but ran big in Florida. He was one I thought would kind of go down on the market just because of the race that he ran last time. But he's another one that's just really hard to trust, and another one that he really got the setup in the wicker for him to win. But if you just look at his recent form, he's one that's certainly hard to trust. And then Astronomer, we don't have to mention. I mean, you look up trust, you look up untrust in the Urban Dictionary, and you see Astronomer right there. So no doubt about that. I think we've kind of landed on most of the horses. It seems like it's probably one of the inside 4, no?
Yeah, I just hope there's no scratches. I hope this speed stays intact, and that they actually do what they're supposed to do and go to the front, and they don't all just
And make sure you keep that in mind if there are, that you got to adjust a little bit if 1 or 2 of these horses come out. Of the speed horses, I do think I like El Patente the most because he does have the type of races where he can maybe sit second or sit just off and then move to the lead. I don't know if those other horses can do that and win. El Patente might be able to do that and still win.
Right. Yeah. 2 races to go, and we're just getting to the big one on Saturday. Of course, it is the Santa Anita Handicap, presented by Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel. I haven't been there, but I'd like to. Grade 1.
That time.
Mile and a quarter on the main track. $300,000 purse, of course, for the older males, a classic division. And like we mentioned earlier in the show, we already have some news as Skippy Longstocking got a bit yippy getting onto the plane, so he will not be joining us to run in this race on Saturday, which narrows it down to a field of 6, and it seems like the pretty heavy favorite will end up being the number 3 Just a Touch, aka Lasix Boy, for Brad Cox and Florent Giroux at 3-2 on the morning line. Let's see if we are going with him or if we are going in another direction. I'm going 7-3-2. Jackson's going 6-3-1. Ryan's going 3-7-2. And Chico is going 3-4-7. I'm not sure why Jackson is laughing, but he's.
I can't wait to hear Ryan's case on the 3 after he's been talking bad about Just a Touch for the past year. I'm so excited to hear this case.
Can we hit it right off the bat? We can go right to Ryan. Let's do it. Ryan, Just a Touch. What do you like?
It's what I don't like about the rest of the field. There's nobody in here that remotely scares me. I think of all the horses, maybe Westwood and Vodka, maybe if he absolutely gets away wire to wire. But I mean, I tried so hard to beat this horse in here, but there is just nothing about the rest of this field that even remotely, I would say, intimidates me, because they haven't done much. And yes, this horse maybe doesn't have the greatest propensity to kind of get the job done, maybe off Lasix or on Lasix, if you look back to the grade 3 Louisiana last time out. But I mean, Accelerize, that was an excellent ride by Flavien Prat that day. Got that horse to the lead, took them all the way. I mean, that was a classic. Everybody kind of fell asleep at the wheel, and except for Flavien Prat, and he kind of took him to school. Obviously, Giroux maybe got him beat in that surface to air race 2 back in the Monmouth Cup. But this race, there's just nobody that I think could beat him. And that's pretty much what it came down to. And maybe that's a bit of a cop-out pick, but there's just nobody that scares me whatsoever.
Gino, feel free to make a better case for the big favorite.
Yeah, because what I was doing was I was going to single this horse against Skippy if Skippy was in the race, because then he would have been the second choice. Skippy would have taken all the money, and I was building a case for Just a Touch in his overall career, because remember, this horse was only 11-1 in the Derby. I mean, he ran well in the Bluegrass. He was right behind Sierra Leone. Then After the Derby, he only runs one more time that year. He's a beaten favorite in the Iowa Derby. He comes back in 2025 at the start of last year when his first 2 races at Fairgrounds and then at Keeneland, he ran in an optional 80 non-2 at Keeneland on the same day as a graded stakes race for older horses. He would have won that graded stakes race for older horses if he would have just been entered in that race. But they were kind of patient with him. Following that, he's in the Met Mile. I mean, he's only 7-2 in the Met Mile when Raging Torrent kind of freaked that day. It was a small field, but it was like a really competitive field. Mm-hmm. So he runs 3rd in that race. That's not bad. The one that is probably like the 2 last races are the ones that are probably sticking with a lot of people that are like, I don't know. But then you can look at each of those individually. So the Monmouth Cup, yeah, he was a beaten favorite that day. Absolutely. And I'm not even going to make any excuses for him losing that race. But the horse that actually beat him was in pretty good form, came right back and beat another Cox heavy favorite First Mission in his next start. And let's just say that Just a Touch maybe wasn't 100%, right? Because that race was right before a long layoff. Something probably went wrong at that point. He hadn't run a whole lot throughout the year. So something goes wrong. Now he's off. I can be a little more forgiving for that race. Then what happens in the Louisiana? He's in the mix. He looks like he's going to win the race. And then he hangs. But he hasn't run in a while, right? He ran like a horse who might be a little bit short coming off the bench. And then you look at the horse who won that race, Accelerize. He actually came back and ran pretty well and almost beat Hit Show. And so now I'm playing this game like if Hit Show was in this race, right? Hit Show would be the favorite or second choice, especially with Skippy Longstocking out. So if I'm kind of being able to make excuses for those last few races because the company was fine and he maybe needed the last race. 2 starts back, we can probably toss it. And now all of a sudden he's got 1 race in his career where he doesn't hit the board, and that's in the Derby in 10 starts. Right. So like, I agree that he looks a little disappointing, right? You can see him as a beaten favorite. He's not even a graded stakes winner at this point in his career. He's never won a graded stakes race. But just what Ryan was doing, I mean, I go process of elimination with the rest of the field, and like Midnight Mammoth was so well like beaten, and I mean, he is like 2 of his last 3 races, he's just not close. He needs, I think, a real particular type of trip, right? Getaway Car. I don't know if he's taken the next step forward. The horse who beat him, Westwood, I think a lot of people will land on, and I can totally understand. It seems like Westwood is a horse who's really like need the lead, doesn't really want to pass horses. If you can get him to the front, he'll dig in and he can run a good race. I was not very impressed with his recent work. I think he got dusted by McVeigh in the morning. Like, so just, I'm looking at this race, like this is going to be maybe the second choice in the big cap. I don't know if he's doing that well right now. And so if I don't like this horse, now that makes Just a Touch like look even stronger. The only other horse that I might throw in some of my tickets is Vodka, just because there is in my head, if I'm running this race in simulations 100 times, right? Is there a simulation of this race where Midnight Mammoth is sitting close, Getaway Car is sitting close, Just a Touch is right there, British Isles, Westwood, Vodka is one of the only horses that I actually have seen sit off a little bit. And Kent isn't the most aggressive rider. If 2 or 3 of these other horses goes, he grabs a hold, and they're kind of 3 or 4 of these horses pushing each other. We don't love or trust any of these horses. We don't know if any of them even really want to go 1.25 miles. Could this horse at least be passing them late? So that's kind of how I played it out in my head to get back to feeling like Just a Touch was pretty good on paper and that maybe we could get a weird trip for Vodka.
Yeah, Jackson, it seems like you kind of think that things could shape up early, similarly to Gino does, which would, in theory, lead you to your top pick, who would be one of the few that would be coming from off of it, no?
I don't know. I don't know what the plan is going to be with this horse because he's been successful on the lead. He's been successful just off of it. So I do feel like they have options, especially with a post towards the outside, especially with a long run into the first turn. I think they can kind of just play the break and see what happens. I don't know where his last 2 have come from, but he has been pretty good since they switched him back to the dirt. I mean, the Native Diver, he went up against Nevada Beach and took it down to the finish line. Nevada Beach came right back and was a nose away from beating Nysos, who's arguably the top older horse in the country right now, based on, I mean, maybe sovereignty, obviously, but he's certainly in the conversation. And he took that horse down the wire. He came back in the Pegasus, and I've been beating the drum for the last 2 weeks. I'm not going to stop now. The rail at Gulfstream Park has been dead the entire meet, and he was glued to the rail the entire Pegasus race. The other Cox horse that was favored, that was on the lead, was glued to the rail. That horse backed up. And this horse, British Isles, was close to the pace, spinning his wheels on the rail, spinning his wheels on the rail. The second they flipped him to the outside, he took off again. He had dropped back to like 7th or 8th. And they come around the turn, they flip him out wide, and he comes again with his run. I think this most recent race was very underrated. And I'm looking at the rest of this field, and the San Pascal in particular. That field was – I just don't think that field is that good. I just don't. I don't know who was in there. I can't bet anyone else coming out of that race. The fact that Getaway Car was second tells me everything I need to know about that field. And if I really think this race comes down to British Isles or Just a Touch, and I have no problem with Just a Touch. He's the horse to beat. But – his last 2 races have been just okay. It's going to be 6-1. So I'm taking British Isles 10 times out of 10. It's not even a debate.
Noah, can you pull up the chart for the Pegasus World Cup just to show what Jackson was talking about too? Like the top 3 finishers from that race would be favored in this race. Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. Skippy Longstocking, White Abarrio, Full Serrano. Any of them were in this race. Captain Cook would be the second choice, probably behind Just a Touch.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that field is so much better just overall than what he's going to be facing. Does that mean he's going to win? No. But from a class standpoint, that like you made a really good point of how that race is way, way better. You can just take those horses individually. All of them would be really tough to beat in this spot.
Right.
You can name 2 horses, maybe even 3 that he finished ahead of that would be favored in this race.
Mm-hmm. Right? Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I like the pick, Jackson. I get I get it. I mean, I know it. He damn near beat Nevada Beach in the Native Diver. I thought he ran big, and there's really no reason to really, put a ton of stock in his Pegasus effort. I'm not going to go on here and tell you I love this pick in Westwood, but he just feels like the type where he either steps up big and runs huge, or that race in the San Pasqual was an absolute fluke. Now, I don't really know which one to believe, but I think others could maybe take some money in here, and people can make some cases. I'd be willing to find out at 7-2 or 4-1, just because he's going to be close. A Getaway Car is probably going to be there too, but I'm not sure he wants to really carry out the 1.25 miles. He's going to be up there close. Just a Touch is probably going to be a bit out of his element. I know he's definitely the horse to beat. I mean, he's probably going to be pretty tough. But has Just a Touch really effectively sat 4th or 5th in any of his races?
That's the thing. Like, nobody really has in here, right? No. Had more than like a 2-length off kind of trip. And that I really, the more we're talking this out, Jackson, I am warming up to British Isles, because at least we've kind of seen him have to do some things he hasn't been used to. He's still passed horses, like he's overcome a little bit. If any of these horses just get kind of parked or shuffled back a little bit, are they just going to pack it in? Because they're not used to winning races or running well without those kind of easy trips.
Well, the best example of that is Midnight Mammoth. I mean, when he's not up close on a soft pace, he folds completely. He doesn't show up at all.
Absolutely.
So,
is anybody scared?
I think a lot of people are going to be rooting for Westwood in this race, obviously, with the passing of John Sheriff. It'd be. I'm not going to be betting him, but it would be really cool to see him win this race.
Mm-hmm. Ryan?
I was just going to say, does it scare anybody else that Getaway Car might just be sitting off Midnight Mammoth for the first 3/4 of the race and just kind of take over? And we've seen, and the lack of winning ability we've seen from a good deal of this field, especially in the favorite. No, Jackson?
Nope. He's going to be way over bet for Baffert, and he's the slowest horse in the race. There's just
I'm not disagreeing that he's going to be over bet. I completely agree. That's why I have him third. He's not going to be anywhere close to a bettable price, but if he won this race by like 2 lengths, I don't think I'd be shocked.
I would just shrug my shoulders and move on. Like, okay, that horse won, and he was half the price he was supposed to be. Sure, whatever.
For me, at the 1.25 miles, I'm less worried than if we were at 1.16 miles, where I feel like he could be in the mix and fall into it. Like, I do think he's going to be a little short late in this race, and if he beats me, it's going to be at a shorter price than I would have wanted to take him anyway. So, like, I'm fine if he beats me at a shortish price.
Jackson, should the Getaway Car bettors donate to the same charity as the litmus test bettors?
Yes. You could tell Tim, I said that too.
I bet he's watching. Is there a suggested charity for those people that?
There's plenty of good aftercare ones. Just Google
TAA,
they're all good.
TAA, TRF, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Make sure you send it that way, and instead of a getaway car on Saturday. We've got one more race to go. We'll try to wrap this up as soon as possible. The day on Saturday concludes with race 11. It's a $20,000 allowance optional claiming for the horses going a mile on the turf. We've got older colts and geldings. Favorite, the number 7 Infinitum, 5-2 for Glatt and Juan Hernandez. Second choice, the other Glatt runner, the number 1 Warm Sun and Brew at 3-1. And let's see who we're going with to conclude the day on Saturday. I'm going 9-7-4. Jackson's going 5-6-1. Seems like a suck up to our buddy Shane O'Neill, but anyway, Ryan's going 1-3-7, and Gino is going 9-3-1. Let's go to Jackson, because I just made fun of him, so I got to let him make the case for the 8-year-old Minister Shane Giroux, Carla Gaines at 12-1. Jackson, what would you like about this runner?
I'll admit, I really did struggle with this race. I thought it was by far the most competitive, and I just didn't really want to settle for a short price because all these horses look very, very similar to me. And at least with Minister Shane, he's doing something different, which I do like to see. Since they switched him back to the grass, he has improved quite a bit. And I know he lost this level 2 back, but that was a pace that completely held together. It was only 5 furlongs. I thought he ran fine in that spot. So I think he's going to be I'm hoping he can be closer to the pace today, stretching back out to a mile. And I know his one grass race going a mile wasn't great, but it also he had a wide trip and then he wasn't seen again for like 9 months after that. So maybe you can kind of just toss that one out. It wasn't his day. It wasn't his best effort. He's a complete question mark on the 2 turns, but I just feel like he's run races that are fast enough to be competitive against his field. Like I said, I'm hoping he'd be closer to the front today than he has been sprinting. And he's going to be the right kind of price in a race like this, where I just don't trust the 1 and I don't trust the 9, who are going to be your favorite. So I'm going to take a little stab with a price.
I got to give a shout out to Jose, because he's probably got the most pressing question of the afternoon or the evening. What is the side bet for us?
I would love it to be the big cap, because big cap, British Isles.
Well, would you guys like to explain
straight up?
Would you guys like to explain the whole side bet thing? And
we going head to head?
Yeah. So
it basically just results in me losing.
My record against these guys in the history of the show is 23-1. So these guys have some catching up to do on these side bets.
Here we go. Okay, Ryan. So you're picking first, then, right? What's your choice?
If he wants to go with a big cap, I'll take just a touch over British Isles. And
hey, last week I gave you litmus tests. I gave you litmus tests for his class president last week, and how'd that work out for you?
Yeah, it didn't.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah. You keep taking the right side of the odds, Ryan. It'll probably work out for you in the long run. It will. But Jackson's confident right now. Absolutely.
He is.
And,
I'm feeling himself.
Yeah. Shout out to Matt. I'll be out at Anita this weekend. That's like home away from home for me. I'm always usually out there on the big days. And I think he said he's going to be out there for the first time. Right?
Yeah, he did. We got to show him a good time, Gino. I'll be up there too.
Absolutely. Come and say hello. If you see me, I'll be walking back and forth, paddock and then winter circle stuff, getting pictures and doing social media. But yeah, it is weather-wise should be really nice. And if you've never been there, it's one of those tracks when you walk out there, like you definitely do the like, oh wow, this is kind of reality. This looks like a postcard with that background. Like, so hope you enjoy it. Have a great week out here.
Yeah. Well, Gino, great contest player. Super nice guy.
Yeah, very nice guy. And we had him actually on the airwaves a couple weeks ago. Super nice guy. Love talking to him. But Gino, back to you. Hopefully we will see you at the windows, cash some tickets with King of Dragons to finish off the day on Saturday.
Yeah, so shout out Daenerys. If she's the queen of dragons, I'm the king of dragons. I stole her from you, Noah, because we were both the kings of dragons in this one, but not a bad one to get stuck with if you're with Daenerys Targaryen. I just think this horse has probably the highest ceiling in the race. From what I've seen, some of the better efforts from King of Dragons. I do agree that not really the most trustworthy, but you can isolate a couple races, I think, where he has legitimate excuses. Like he just completely missed the break last time out, was way out of it. And prior to that, like the rest of his form all like made a lot of sense to me. His first 3 races are pretty good. Then he gets put in the Eddie Logan against Open Company. So instead of facing Calabreds, which he had been facing early on in his career, then he's facing Open Company. He's only 9-1 in the Eddie Logan, and he had a pretty brutal trip that day. Just not comfortable, was pulling, was in tight, was in traffic. And then following that race, the race in February of last year was right before a long layoff. It was funny, 3 of his losses have been to Cali Cat. So I think he's excited to not have to see that rival in here. Yep. If he goes back to his race in November, now second start off the short break, I just think that's about as good as what we've seen from anybody else in this field. And I can make some legitimate excuses for a couple of those poor performances. So I like King of Dragons in here. I had him on top. And then after him, I did like the Warm Sun and Brew High Plains Drifter race. I actually thought that High Plains Drifter ran pretty well in there. The key maybe with Warm Sun and Brew getting the blinkers on. I think that horse is going to try to go with the blinkers from the inside because he doesn't really seem like he wants to pass horses all that much. Like the way he ran in his last start, he was sitting in a pretty good spot. And then when he loomed up to try to go by Sir Percival, he started kind of getting jumpy. Mm-hmm. And to me, that sometimes means this is a horse who might be just better on the lead versus trying to come and go by horses late. So I wouldn't be shocked if we saw them try to hold that position down on the inside with the 1. But if that is the case, then you probably get Keithing Thunder flashing a little bit of speed there, maybe Infinitum also. So if we can get 2 or 3 of those horses, that's how this becomes a pretty fair, at least maybe honest run race that can open up for some of the other horses that we may like at prices. So King of Dragons here. I'll get a little value maybe with the 3. And I like what Jackson was saying too, even about Minister Shane. It is the type of race where it's hard to eliminate horses because nobody stands out all that much. So if that is the case, you don't want to take a very, very short price.
Yeah, I didn't really have
too much. You guys? Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I didn't really have too much of an idea after King of Dragons, which, I mean, it's pretty indicative by our picks. I thought it was pretty difficult race to end the day.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because the 1 seemed like he's going to be the favorite. Inside post, speedy type, has the fast numbers. What did you guys make of his stretch run last time? Because as Gino kind of said, he loomed up like he was going to get ready to pass these horses. Then he kind of ducked in. He was green. I couldn't tell if he was green. I couldn't tell if he didn't want to switch leads. I couldn't tell if he didn't want to pass. Like it seemed like there was a lot going on with this horse. Maybe physically, maybe mentally, but I just wasn't sure what to quite make of that.
I like the 3 better, honestly. I completely agree with you. And I actually think in instances like this, I think you'll see a horse like High Plains Drifter because he was 20-1 last time out. And he beat Warm Sun and Brew right on the square late in that race, right? There was no excuses. There was no reason why Warm Sun and Brew couldn't have outfinished High Plains Drifter in that particular race. Now the 1 will add the blinker, so maybe that'll be different. But from just a value standpoint, this horse is going to be completely dismissed by people who are like, he just got up late. But when you look at his last couple races going long, they're really not bad. He looks like a horse who might just be a more of a distance horse, right? He won at a mile. 2 back, he probably was using that 6 furlong race as a stepping stone. He, the 3 back race was when he broke the maiden at a mile. He ran well at 6.5, getting there late, right? So this might be the trip that's a little bit better for him. If you're looking for a fun, at least underneath in, tries kind of horse or a cool long shot to have alive. It's fun when you look at some Will Pays and you're alive, right? For some big ones. It's always nice to get a look, to get a little sniff. This might, right? Mm-hmm. This gives you one of those at least.
For sure. Ryan, you got the pleasure of finishing us off with both the 1 and the 3 who you've got in first and second. Or if you don't want to talk about those 2, you can literally talk about anybody else.
No, I only want to talk about those 2 because I value these 2 pretty equally. I probably should have sent them in 3-1-7, but spoiler alert, I'm using them both on my best bet. Okay, Jackson, thank you. That was like a sideways. That wasn't even a thumbs down. That was sideways. Oh, you're getting lazy on me, man. I think, first of all, I do think the blinkers on for Warm Sun and Brew is going to make the difference. I think Freysu is going to get him out from the rail draw. I think he's going to get to the lead. And I think really the only major pace pressure that he could face would be from the number 4 in Keithing Thunder. And that runner's got to transfer that dirt speed into the turf speed, which, of course, we've seen. But who knows if that's actually going to if that's really going to happen. So I do think that Warm Sun and Brew getting the 3rd start of the form cycle, he seems to kind of be figuring things out. In that last route effort at Del Mar last fall, I mean, he blew that field away. He was the favorite. He was supposed to, and he did everything he should. He certainly looked like he had it kind of a little more figured out. I don't know the strength of that field, but came back as a 4-year-old and certainly improved on that number, and improved again last time out when he lost to Sir Percival. And I think maybe the blinkers on might be kind of the key to figuring this horse out. And Fresu, second time aboard for this third start. And then High Plains Drifter. Yeah, you mentioned it, Gino, that this horse pretty much, I mean, finished right along with Warm Sun and Brew, and they're going to go right next to each other as far as I'm concerned, down to the wire. I like the finish, and you get the similar form pattern of third start off the layoff here. They both drew nicely, and nobody else in this race really scares me. So I'll be alive to hopefully these two runners, and yeah, the 3 is going to give me that nice number to look at and hope for.
Feels like the first and the last leg of the pick 5, right, are the ones where you kind of have to look. The non-graded stakes, you might get more value, or you might be able to find that 10 to 1-ish shot in these races. Whereas the other races, maybe they won't be big prices, but if you can beat 1 or 2 of those favorites, especially a horse like Just a Touch, like if that horse gets beat in this sequence, then it could pay really well. You beat Just a Touch and Brant, right? All of a sudden, now you're really looking at a nice pick 5 in some small fields. So you probably don't even have to go that deep in those races to beat them. It's just about, constructing your ticket, and, good luck to everyone out there.
Appreciate everybody joining us either on our YouTube channel or a couple of our X platforms as well. We do not have best bets for tonight because I know we're almost at an hour and 15 minutes, but I'll do a little around the world here. Just a horse you're most interested in on Saturday. Gino, of course, we will start with you.
Yeah, let's go to the 8th race, Secured Freedom, the San Felipe. I think this is the spot for him. You catch Brant first time out. You can get a few horses that go and show some speed to get a nice trip. You're down more towards the inside. You don't have to be hooked quite as wide. They've been able to have a while to kind of progress and try to get him a little more mature now mentally and on the right path. So I think Secured Freedom is one. And Matt, I think, was asking what's behind me. That's the Santa Anita calendar. That is for the opening day giveaway every single year, the day after Christmas. It's like, people get so excited for this calendar. It's awesome. My mom, I had to go get a couple of them every single year. I end up having to pay for a few to give them to mom and dad. But yeah, it's awesome, and it's a good backdrop.
Big hit for sure. Jackson, your horse on Saturday?
So Happy in the same race. And I know you guys both have So Happy on top. So if you want to do a second side bet, we can do that as well.
You mean Secured Freedom?
Yeah, you guys have Secured Freedom. Sorry.
Sure, we can do a second one.
Okay, second one. Actually, you have Westwood in the big cap, right? Just so we're clear about who everyone has. I know you have Just a Touch, and you have Westwood, right?
You're pointing the wrong way again.
You're doing it again.
Well, I don't know what's wrong with my computer because I'm literally pointing at Noah.
I think it's a user error.
Yeah.
I'm literally pointing at Noah, but maybe it's not. The camera does that sometimes, the Apple stuff. I don't know. Not important. Anyway.
Ryan?
Yeah, my brother Raymond in the Frank Kilroe Mile, Mi Hermano Ramon.
Oh, I know.
I like that.
Well, Noah looked confused. I know you got it, Jackson. I know Gino got it.
Whoa.
Kentucky kid was confused on that one, but Mi Hermano Ramon, I think it's got to be his time on Saturday. I think he finally faces the right field. He drew really well. He's going to get the setup, and I hope I get every bit of 5 to 1.
I like it. Gino, appreciate you joining us tonight. Of course, we'll have you on any time. I know we love to talk some races with you, so hopefully we can get you on the airwaves soon. But for Gino,
anytime. I flipped on the Lakers right now too. We just started, so let's go LeBron.
Let's do it. For Gino, for Jackson, and for LeBron Anderson, this has been your host, Noah Maher, in episode 69 of Pacific Horseplayers, taking you through 6 races on Big Cap Day at Santa Anita this Saturday. And until next time, PHP out.